My husband died. At the funeral, his ex-wife told me a secret that ruined everything. I never thought I'd wear black lace again. The last time was our wedding night. A private joke between me and him. He said it made me look dangerous. Said I had the kind of face men bury secrets in. Goddamn, I should have listened. The morning of the funeral, I stood in front of the mirror, smoothing down a dress I bought on clearance and never meant to wear to bury my husband. 54 years old. Heart attack in his sleep. One minute he was next to me, the next cold. Just like that. No warning. No note. No last look. I had loved him for 9 years. Married for 5. Second marriage for both of us. No kids together. He had a daughter. I had a dog. That was enough. Or so I thought. The service was quiet. Military honors. Folded flag. Eulogies that felt too short and too clean for a man as complicated as Stephen. Everyone said the usual things. He was larger than life. He loved you so much. He would have wanted it this way. What did that even mean? Then she showed up. Deborah, the ex-wife. Hair perfect. Black sunglasses. Pearl earrings. Standing like the widow she used to be. People whispered. They hadn't spoken in years, as far as I knew. I thought she wouldn't come. I was wrong. I caught her watching me from the back row during the final prayer. That kind of look that's too long to be polite. Something about it made my skin crawl. After the burial, people cleared out. I stood at the edge of the cemetery, still clutching the folded flag, when she approached. I'm sorry for your loss, she said. No hug. No fake smile. Just that voice. Cool. Steady. Familiar in a way I hated. Thank you, I said. He spoke well of you, surprisingly. She nodded. Took off her glasses. Eyes sharp. Then she said, Did he ever tell you about Rosewood Street? I blinked. No. What's that? Didn't think so. She pulled something from her purse. A photo. Crumpled at the edges. 2 kids on a porch. And Stephen, younger, grinning, arm around a woman who wasn't either of us. You should look into it, she said, tucking the photo into my hand. You deserve to know before the casket closed. And then she walked away. No explanation. No goodbye. Just the smell of expensive perfume and a match dropped on my entire marriage. That night, I sat on the floor in my kitchen with a bottle of wine and stared at the photo until the label peeled off from my sweaty hands. Stephen, smiling, holding a child that looked a hell of a lot like him. And that's when I realized, my husband didn't just die. He left a story behind, and someone else already knew it. It wasn't hard to find. Just a quick search through the county records, and there it was. 1471 Rosewood Street. Purchased in 2013, under a trust name I didn't recognize. That's 5 years before Stephen and I got married. 2 years after his divorce from Deborah. And the whole time we were together, he told me his only property was ours. The house with the chip tile and the garden he never finished. I drove out there the next morning. I told myself I just wanted to look, to see what Deborah had meant. To make sense of the photo, she dropped in my hands like a bomb. But the moment I turned down that street, I knew he'd been here. The house was small. White siding, swing on the porch. A tricycle tipped in the yard like someone left in a hurry. It looked lived in, not empty, not abandoned, loved. I sat across the street for 30 minutes before someone stepped out onto the porch. A woman, mid-30s maybe, holding a mug, tired eyes, no makeup, sweatshirt that said Mama Bear. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. She didn't notice me at first. Then she looked across the street and paused, squinted, tilted her head, like something about me registered. And then she waved. I didn't wave back, just drove away. That night, I went through Stephen's files. Old bills, bank statements, anything that could point to a second mortgage, another address. And buried in a folder labeled medical records, I found it. An insurance form listing a dependent. Evelyn Grace, born 2014. Relationship, daughter. My hand started shaking because we'd gotten married in 2017, which means he had a 3-year-old daughter when I walked down the aisle and never said a word. This wasn't an affair. It wasn't a fling. It was a family. I emailed the insurance rep, told her I needed clarification. She replied within the hour. Yes, Evelyn was covered. Had been since birth. Yes, Stephen had always listed her under the Rosewood address. No, there was no mention of a spouse or partner attached to the claim. Just Stephen and his little girl. I printed the form, pinned it to the wall beside the photo Deborah gave me. Then I picked up the phone. I called her. Deborah. She answered on the second ring. I went to Rosewood, and he had a daughter. Yes, she said. No hesitation. No drama. You knew. I met her once. After our divorce. He asked me not to tell anyone. And you listen? She's innocent. That little girl didn't choose to be a secret. I almost cried right then, because she was right. and I hated her for it. Why now? I asked. Because you're the one left with the ashes. Then softer. Because I know what it feels like to love a man who tells half the truth so well, you start calling it love. I hung up. I stared at the wall for an hour, and then I made a decision. I was going back to that house. I needed to look the lie in the face, and I needed to meet the girl who had his eyes. I didn't call first, didn't send a message or write a polite letter. I just drove to Rosewood and walked up the porch steps like I had every right to be there, because after what he'd done, I did. She opened the door before I could knock. Same woman, messy bun, still tired, still holding that same damn mug, like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Her eyes met mine. No surprise this time, just a breath. You're her, she said. I nodded. I'm his wife. Widow, I guess. She stepped aside. Let me in. The house smelled like cinnamon and crayons and laundry. A basket by the door. A dog bed without a dog. A photo of Stephen on the mantel. Not our wedding portrait, not the version I knew, just him in jeans, holding a toddler with ice cream smeared on her face. I'm Claire, she said. Evelyn's mom. How long were you together? She hesitated. We weren't. Not really. Not like that. He bought you a house. He bought her a home. That shut me up. She sat down at the kitchen table, motioned for me to do the same. No coffee. No small talk. Just truth. Or whatever version of it we could both tolerate. He helped. Financially. Emotionally. He didn't live here, but he was here when it mattered. He never told me. She nodded. He said he wouldn't. Did he tell Evelyn? Claire's face went tight. She thinks he traveled a lot. But she knew. She always knew. Right on cue. I heard footsteps upstairs. Soft. Small. And then she appeared. Evelyn. 10 years old. Long brown hair. Eyes too big for her face. Eyes I'd seen before. Stephen's eyes. She stopped in the doorway when she saw me. I expected shyness. What I didn't expect was what she said next. Are you the other mommy? My heart cracked. What? Claire jumped in. Evie. But she kept going. Daddy said he had another house. With another lady. He said she made really good lasagna and liked reading in the tub. I felt my legs weaken. Because that was me. That was me. Did he say my name? I asked. No, she said, serious. But he said he loved you. Just like us. He said he had two hearts. Two hearts. Like he could split love clean down the middle and nobody would notice the mess. Claire walked over, gently took Evelyn's hand, and led her out of the room. I stayed. Sat in that kitchen, hands shaking, trying to decide what hurt more. That he lied, or that he loved us both. Claire came back alone. I'm not asking for anything, she said. He's gone. I just want her to have some kind of peace. He had two lives, I said, and he used both of them up. She handed me something. A drawing. Crayon. Sloppy. Labeled in a kid's handwriting. 3 stick figures. 1 tall man. 1 small girl. And 2 women on either side of them. My family. I clutched it to my chest. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just whispered. He made us all think we were the only one. And the worst part? We believed him. 3 days later, I opened his desk. Not the one in the den. The polished oak monstrosity he used to pay bills and write Christmas cards. No, I went for the old one in the garage. The metal one with rusted handles and a lock he never bothered to fix. The one he said was just tools and junk. A lie, like everything else. It smelled like dust and engine oil and secrets. I pulled open drawer after drawer, paperwork, receipts, a pair of cufflinks I gave him for our 3rd anniversary that he said he lost. And in the bottom drawer, under a half-used roll of duct tape, an envelope, unmarked, thick, cream-colored, folded twice. Inside, 1 letter, 2 pages. His handwriting. The date on the top was 6 months before he died. If you're reading this, I guess I didn't make it. I don't know who found this. Claire, maybe. Or maybe you. I sat down on the floor. The garage was cold, but I didn't feel it. I didn't know how to say it. I never found the right time, and then the time just kept running out. Evelyn wasn't a mistake. I need you to know that. She was never that. I loved you. God, I loved you. But there was a part of me I never showed you, because I thought if I did, you'd leave. And I was selfish. I wanted both lives. I told myself I could carry it, that it wouldn't catch up to me. You were the part of my life that felt clean, safe, full of warmth and forgiveness. Claire was the part of me I couldn't explain. The mess. The consequence. Evelyn, she's the best thing I ever did. I never meant for this to fall on you. I just didn't want anyone hurt. And now I realize that's all I did. There was a second note. Shorter. Different handwriting. Claire's. Paper clipped to the first. I found this after he passed. I didn't send it. I didn't know if you wanted the truth. But now that you came here, I figured you earned it. I stared at both pages for a long time. He hadn't chosen between us. He pretended he didn't have to. And now, we were the ones left bleeding. Later that night, I sat on our bed. The bed we shared. The bed where I said I do. And I burned the letter. Page by page. Slow. Not because I didn't believe him, but because I finally did. He was always going to die like this. Loved, but not whole. I hadn't spoken to his daughter since the funeral. She sent one text. Let me know if you need anything. I never responded, because what I needed was the one thing I couldn't have. The version of Stephen the first thought I married. But after I burned the letter, something shifted in me. Not forgiveness. Not healing. Just clarity. There was one person left who deserved the truth almost as much as I did. Her. I called. She answered on the first ring. Hi, she said, cautious. Can we meet? We met at the same coffee shop where I'd first sat with Stephen on our third date. It felt poetic. It felt cruel. She was already seated when I arrived. Long coat. Hair back. Same nervous hands he had. Always fidgeting with a straw wrapper, a sugar packet, anything to fill the silence. She stood when she saw me. Smiled. Small. Fragile. I didn't smile back. I didn't waste time. I pulled out the photo. The insurance form. A copy of Evelyn's birth certificate I'd requested the day before. Her eyes flicked between them. No confusion. No gasp. Just a slow, sinking realization. You didn't know either, I said. She shook her head. No. Jesus Christ, he had a kid. I nodded. For 10 years. She covered her mouth. But he was always around. Every birthday. Every holiday. He was never gone for more than a day. He made it work. That's not making it work, she snapped. That's building a lie so deep you can live in it. She pushed the papers away like they were burning. I don't understand. How'd he do this? Why would he? Because he was good at it. She looked up at me. Did he love you? I blinked. Yes. Then how could he do this to you? I laughed. Bitter. Shaky. That's the wrong question. She paused. What's the right one? I leaned forward. Met her eyes. How many people can you love before it stops meaning anything? She stared down at her coffee, silent. Then said, I asked him once if he had any regrets. You know what he told me? I shook my head. He said, not yet. And I felt it. The full weight of what he left behind. Not a legacy. Not a family. Just women sitting in cafes, asking each other what parts of him were ever real. She stood. I don't want to hate him. You don't have to, I said. But you can. For a while. It helps. She smiled. A little. Then she left. Didn't look back. And me? I stayed. Alone. With a cold cup of coffee and a new kind of grief. Not for the man I lost, but for the girl I became just to be loved by him. I thought I'd already found it all. The lies. The child. The house. The letters. But secrets don't live in files or envelopes. They live in what you're not supposed to notice. I was packing up the guest room, the one Stephen used as his hobby space, though I never saw him do a single hobby in it. Just golf hats, boxes of old tech, and a dusty camera bag shoved in the closet. I almost threw the whole thing away, but something made me unzip it. And inside, a camera. Not digital. Film. I took it to the photo lab the next day. Told the clerk to print whatever was on it. No questions. 3 hours later, I had the envelope in my hands. Most of the photos were nothing. Trees. A beach. Stephen standing awkwardly in front of a grill, beer in hand. But one photo. One nearly broke me in half. It was a birthday party. Backyard. Balloons tied to a plastic chair. Kids crowded around cake. Evelyn was there. A little younger, maybe 6. Claire, too, smiling. Stephen holding the cake. And right there in the background, me. Not in the party. Not part of it. But walking past in the distance. In a corner of the frame, blurry, carrying a bag of groceries. My dress. My driveway. Our house. That party was in our backyard. I dropped the photo. Felt my knees hit the floor. Not just because he brought them to our home, but because I never even noticed. While I was out buying food, they were my yard. Singing happy birthday to the daughter I didn't know existed. He cleaned it up before I got back. He made it look like nothing happened. You ever question your sanity? Like really question it? Because that day I did. I asked myself if maybe I'd seen balloons. Heard something. But no, he was too good at this. I picked up the photo again. Stare at Claire's face. At Evelyn's. At mine. Tiny and unaware in the background. Smiling because I thought my life was intact. I didn't cry this time. I laughed. Because this wasn't just betrayal. This was possession. He used our house. Our yard. Our air. And I was just the woman paying the mortgage while he played father in secret. I went to the fire pit in the backyard that night. The one he never used. I lit that photo on fire. Watched the truth curl into smoke. But before the flames hit the edge, I snapped a picture of it with my phone. because maybe I didn't want to keep the lie, but I needed to remember what it looked like. I never expected to write to her. She wasn't mine, not by blood, not by name, not by any version of the story I thought I lived in. But after that photo, after seeing her in my backyard, celebrating her birthday with my husband, I couldn't stop thinking about her. What did he tell her? What version of me existed in her mind? A stranger? The other lady? Did she even know my name? So I sat at my kitchen table. Same table where I signed the marriage license, where he wrote our first Christmas cards, where we planned vacations that never happened because he was working. And I wrote to her, "Dear Evelyn, you don't know me, but I knew your father. I was his wife for 9 years. You were born during the 4th. I don't blame you for that. You didn't ask for any of this, but I think you deserve to know who he really was." I paused, not because I didn't know what to say, but because I knew exactly what I wanted to say, and part of me still wanted to protect him. Isn't that sick? I kept writing. "Your dad loved you. I know that much. I saw it in photos, in birthday videos, in the way he paid for your house and tried, in his broken way, to be present. But love isn't always clean. Sometimes it's carved out of silence. Sometimes it's stolen. He loved me, too, and he built a wall between us so carefully, neither of us knew the other side existed. I folded the letter once, but then I unfolded it and added one more paragraph. One day, you'll ask questions. You want to know who he was, why he wasn't always there, why he lied. When you do, I want you to have this letter, not to make you hate him, just to make you understand him, because understanding someone is how you stop repeating their mistakes." I signed it, not with my name, just the other woman who loved him. I sealed it. No stamp, no return address, just an envelope marked, "For Evelyn. When she's ready." I drove to Rosewood. Didn't knock. Didn't wait. I left it in Claire's mailbox with a post-it. "This is for her. One day, when it makes sense." I drove away without looking back, because I wasn't looking for a thank you, and I wasn't looking for closure. I was leaving a truth that wasn't mine to carry anymore. The will was read 2 months after the funeral. Plain office. Mahogany desk. A lawyer who looked half asleep and barely made eye contact. Mark had left no surprises. Not for the lawyer, anyway. But for me, everything was a surprise. I sat in the front row. Claire was there. Evelyn, too, fidgeting in a school uniform, too young to know how badly she'd been woven into a lie. My stepdaughter sat behind me, arms folded tight, lips pressed white. No one spoke. The lawyer cleared his throat and began. Stephen had updated the will 6 months before his death. Typical. Precise. Divided to the decimal point. Claire got the house on Rosewood. Fully paid off. He'd tucked away a separate account for Evelyn's education. 6 figures. My stepdaughter got stocks. A car. A legacy piece, as he called it. And me? I got nothing. No mention. Not a name. Not a single line acknowledging the woman who shared his bed, his last name, his final years. It was like I'd been scrubbed, erased from the story he left behind. The lawyer said, "Sometimes they forget to update it." Claire looked at me and said, "You didn't forget." That stung. But I didn't flinch, because maybe she was right. Maybe he thought money was final. Maybe he thought not choosing would keep the peace. But silence is a choice, and erasure is violence. I left the office without speaking to anyone. Got in my car, turned the key, sat there, and I wrote him one last letter. Not for him to read. For me. "Dear Stephen, you were a good liar. I'll give you that. You made me feel safe while building escape hatches into your own grave. I hope the peace you have now feels warmer than the one you left behind, because I've had to gather my life from ashes you never planned to leave me with. But here's the truth you never expected. I'm still here. Not broken. Not bitter. Just done with your story. From now on, it's mine. You don't get the last word anymore. I do." I drove home, put on the black lace again. Not for mourning, not for nostalgia, but to bury the version of me that needed to be chosen. I looked in the mirror, tired, wiser, unforgiven, and whispered, "Rest in peace, Stephen, and stay the hell out of my dreams. You died thinking you told no one the truth. But now everyone knows, and none of us are burying you alone."